Okay, friends, we're gonna get started with the stream. Oh, pardon this brand new large microphone. It's gonna be in the frame, I think, so you can hear me. But that's a new addition. I hope I sound better. Let me know if you can't hear me well enough, and I will change it. Yeah, I'm going to lower the volume on my own computer so I don't hear myself. Okay. Okay, let's get the music back on. All right. So, hello. How are you? I'm doing great. Let's see. So, last time on this very Twitch stream you were watching, we talked about egg replacements like flax seeds and chia seeds and ground up fruit and vegetables and soy lecithin and just so many options when you run out of eggs. And so I put a few of those items in the Amazon module that is below the video here, I think. Is that where it is? Yeah. So I'll be switching it every week. Oh, wait, you don't see me? My video isn't working? Oh, shoot. What's happening? Are you sure you can't see me? Oh, you can see me. Great. Hi, Lucius. Hi, Wes. Hi, Martin. Okay, cool. Glad you all are here. So yeah, last time we talked about egg replacements, why my friend Omar thinks egg yolks are gross. I totally understand. Don't worry. We talked at length about smoking meats and the various setups that I've had before, indoor and outdoor. So that's a really fun video segment. And then we went really deep on cassava flour, which has so many uses. And did you know cassava root vegetables have a little bit of cyanide in them? So make sure you cook them thoroughly before you eat them. You should never eat a raw cassava. I should make a sticker that says you should never eat a raw cassava. We also started a new segment where we try to come up with new dishes by combining two existing dishes or two ingredients together. And so we just do our own little version of Chopped, which is super fun. But if you want to rewatch any of those clips or the whole streams on this channel, you just click on videos, which I think is above my head. I think. They just changed the way that Twitch displays all the information now, so I guess if you just revisit my channel and check out the highlighted videos, then you'll see all the clips that I pulled out. And so yeah, Twitch deletes all of these streams after 2 weeks, and so I'll be uploading the entire archive to youtube.com/JennDLV. Those are unedited, so you're gonna have to fast forward a few times through the intro parts, but make sure to subscribe there if you don't watch at this regular time, which is 5 p.m. every Wednesday, Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, and I talked about this last week, but I'm a Twitch affiliate now, which means I can start earning money on this channel. So if you have an Amazon Prime, you can gift a subscription to pretty much any creator every month, but I hope you choose me. You get a little crown next to your name in the chat, just like 7 Bean Salad does, if you want a little crown in the chat. So if you have Amazon Prime, click the purple button above the top right of this video, I think. It says gift a sub, and you'll get a little crown next to your name in the chat. Yeah, so happy Earth Day. On Twitter earlier, I shared an article and 2 recipes. Did you know 64% of food waste is preventable? Preventable! So I wrote all of these great tips for saving your scraps at home, making it into other things, and the safest ways to compost or get rid of it. So that article is up on Yumly. And then I also shared a recipe for food scrap strata. Do you know what a strata is? It's like, strata means like levels, striated, you know? So it's like a bread pudding layered with chopped up vegetables or whatever leftovers you have. And so it's a really easy thing to make. And then I also have a recipe for kale stem pesto. So don't throw away any of your collard green stems or your kale stems. You can make pesto out of them. And then don't throw away your mushroom stems because you can make powder condiments that are as savory as soy sauce, which is really cool. Yeah, so happy Earth Day, everybody, from Mother Egg. Of course I had to have an egg. Like, this whole episode is going to be about eggs. So I'm going to show you some of the eggs around my house. Well, this is one that I'm going to eat eventually from the farmer's market. I've been growing rye berries. I've been sprouting them first and then planting them. This is zero waste / egg thing. I've been planting them in eggshells. I didn't rinse them out because the eggs have like a lot of nutrients in them. And so like that little jelly stuff that's still on the eggshell like is mixing with my old tea bags that I'm using as soil and growing rye berry grass. Ooh! So I'm going to have my own little like wheatgrass situation here in a minute. I also have, I'll talk about that later. Look, I have Gouda Thomas asking if...
No.
He's wiggling his butt. Please stop.
What do you want?
So sleepy. I'm actually pretty sleepy. Okay, sorry. All right. Another egg thing. My friend Sam gave me this tape measure. It's adorable. Hey! Thanks for subscribing! Is that Jason? Thanks a lot for that. So when you subscribe, I get a little percentage from Twitch so that I can keep doing this, while I don't have catering work, which is great. Hi! What else? That's all the egg things around me. But, I've got egg earrings, and then I have my shirt that I got from Print All Over Me. Do you know that website? It's a place where designers can do print all over fabric, and they sell these shirts. I don't remember if this design is still up, but it's a fun place. Wow, thanks, Lucius. Wow, all of you are subscribing. Thank you so much. That is so nice of you. Hopefully, your subscriptions will help me get through this non-catering period. I really want to cook for other people, but it's not very safe right now. So thank you. Means a lot. Gonna talk about Patreon first. So I'm running a special. So in addition to subscribing here on Twitch, you can also subscribe to recipes on Patreon. And this fried egg that I just put on the screen is from my friend Rachel Viola, who goes by the name Drip, DROMGP. That's her Twitch channel. She helps me with a lot of pixel art. We're working on a new project soon that I get to tell you about later. But, yeah, I'm running a Patreon special. It's until April 30th. I'm going to mail stickers out to everyone. If you're a part of the first printing of the stickers, then I can send you more if you want me to, but I'm sending them to new subscribers. So if you join my Patreon before the end of the month, I'll send you some egg stickers, and I'm sure I'll give away more through the Twitch channel later on, but that is a fun thing that's happening. So I'm making so much stuff lately. On Mondays, I'm uploading skate videos to YouTube and Instagram TV. On Tuesdays, we are maybe every other week streaming with Fun City, which is the other podcast that I'm on. Wednesdays, here on Twitch. Thursdays, I've designated as sort of a day off. Friday, Fun City episodes come out every other Friday, and then our behind-the-scenes show, Fun Chatty, on all the other Fridays. And on off times, I've been streaming the sounds of my back patio and the BQE. And the other day, like, Bijan called me out on it. It was like, you have a back patio? And I was like, I got this apartment for entertaining people, okay? So don't rag on me about my patio. So I want to share the sounds of my patio, which has a ton of birds on it. And, like, there's an apple tree and a peach tree, and it's just really relaxing. So I hope you enjoy that when you need some peace and quiet. So what else is on Patreon this week? The free stuff. I've got a pantry guide, living pantry guide. So if you have ingredients that you want me to cover on the stream and add to that guide, you just leave it in the comments or tweet me or text me, anything, and then I'll get to it, and we'll cover it. My first Wasurei Mono column went up on April 17th, and it's going to go up every month after that. And then if I think of cool new subjects, I'm going to keep them on Fridays between those monthly posts. So it's very exciting. I have a lot to say about Jim Leahy's No Knead Bread, as well as tomato paste in an upcoming post, and Allison Roman's cookies. So it'll be really fun. I go really deep about how many times can you make a recipe with just one grocery trip. And I discovered with Jim Leahy's bread recipe, you can make 2 loaves of bread with a 2-pound bag of flour, and then 4 loaves of bread with the 5-pound. So fun conclusions. I revised my goals on Patreon, so I'm at like 42 people out of 60 to help cover the internet, which is where I primarily work now. It's really hard to get Wi-Fi outside of my house because it's not really safe to go to coffee shops anymore, so it's really important for me to just get that bill taken care of. But anyway, so last week I posted about making citrus curd out of any mixture of citrus juice. So I did a calamansi and lime one last week, and you can do just straight up orange juice from the bottle. I'm also starting a Culinary Word of the Day podcast, which is very, very exciting. And I'm asking people to submit words that they want me to cover. It's just going to be 2 minutes, just a morning, daily, like, this is your Culinary Word of the Day, blah, 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 blah. And I also shared a recipe for making cracker toffee, which is one of my favorite things to eat. So hopefully you've seen all that. Cool. Moving on. Let's talk about what's in my Etsy store. Excuse me. So let's change the screen. So we got some new stuff in. I talked about kitchen salt and pepper, which is I'm not just selling you kitchen salt and pepper. It's technically Michael Twitty's recipe for kitchen salt and pepper, which has a lot of warm spices in it. So it has chili flake, nutmeg, clove, allspice, and you can pretty much replace it in like for your salt and pepper. And it pretty much works on any protein so far as I've seen. And so it looks like this. We have my Goth as Hell furikake that I use black sesame in. It's just a crunchy, fun thing you can put on rice. Only got one more thing of buttermilk ranch. Excuse me. And just added a new thing that I invented called Poppy Crunch, which is like if you had a lemon poppy seed muffin, and this is just a crunchy condiment that you can put on things. So it has sweet application and savory application. It has black sesame, poppy seeds, omani lime, and sumac, which are spices that give me that lemony part of the lemon poppy seed muffin. So put it on bagels, put it on yogurt, put it on rice, add crunch to things. It's really exciting to like invent spice mixes and crunches like this. So that's in the Etsy store. It's going. So I'm mailing pretty much every Tuesday and Friday. So if you want to get something in the mail this weekend, place your order before Friday at noon and I will get to it. So cool. I think that's the business. If you're not already following me on the socials, this is my username. This is also my Venmo if you want to send a tip in the future. It's my birth month still, or, birthday treat, birthday drink. Not required, but just telling you. Okay, let's get down to some food business. So what did I do? Excuse me, I keep coughing. My spring allergies have been really, really bad. I was a huge mucus machine last night. I'm sorry, that's not very appetizing. But I'm trying to drink tea, get my Asthma in check. Excuse me. Okay, let's talk about what happened this week. What did I do this week? I practiced my icing skills. Like, I'm not a very good baker, but I baked some gingerbread that I had in the freezer and was practicing glaze icing. So there are a lot of like Instagram videos of people doing this intricate stuff with this icing, and I'm just like really trying hard here. This is gingerbread with Calamansi juice icing, and this is the easiest icing you can make. It's a half a cup of powdered sugar, which has a little bit of cornstarch mixed into it. Did you know that? That's the difference between granulated sugar and confectioner sugar. So confectioner sugar has a little bit of cornstarch, so when you mix it with cold water, it becomes more icing-like. So it's a half a cup of confectioner sugar with a teaspoon of juice. And then you can adjust that drop by drop if you need it to be thicker or thinner. But you just whip that together, and it's this like really easy icing that you can put in a Ziploc and like pipe onto things. So that's what I did. I'm fine, by the way. Last night I decided to defrost some ribs I got from the farmer's market. And I've been really waiting on this because it's 2 pounds of meat, and I am a one Jenn, and so I cannot finish all of that. So I had to like really like psych myself up for having ribs. And so the first batch of ribs that I did, the first rack, is kare flavored. So this is like a peanut curry barbecue sauce that I made using a Filipino recipe that's usually a soup, but I, reduced it way down, took out, some ingredients to make it like more sauce-like, omitted the vegetables. And then I slow cooked these ribs in the oven yesterday, which was really nice smelling. It smelled up the whole house. I was like, ooh, I'm gonna have ribs later. And then I finished it with some kimchi garlic, scallion that I've been growing in the windowsill, and then some pomegranate seeds because, to be honest, this dish is like really like packed with umami and salt. So I needed a little bit of like a fruity counterbalance to it. So this was delicious, and you bet I'm going to write this recipe eventually. Yes. But I will have an update to my store. I made a powdered version of the kare sauce that you can buy later. I haven't finished packaging it up, but that's a secret for you who are all watching. Okay, what else? The other night I had kimchi noodle soup. Oh shoot, it's a little off center, but that's okay. It's kimchi paste, tomato paste, water, and a pinch of sugar to make this broth. Super easy. And then you can simmer your ramen noodles, like regular instant ramen noodles, in it, and that's it. Yeah. I made these pulled mushroom sandwiches. They were like pulled pork, but no pork, it's like you roast whole oyster mushrooms, like king oyster mushrooms. You roast them in olive oil, garlic, 350 degrees for like 15 minutes. And then you pull them apart. Well, after they've cooled down, you pull them apart into strings, toss it with the barbecue sauce, and then warm that up. And this is what you get. It's really easy. So delicious. So I showed you earlier that I was growing rye in my little egg. This is the edible stuff, but the stuff I'm not going to eat that's just pretty is outside in my back patio. I've been growing them in the little like draining grates of my patio. And so they're really getting there. This is so cool. My scallion that I had a month ago, the scallion bunch that I started eating a month ago is still growing. So I've been like harvesting maybe once a week and eating it on my food, and then they keep growing. It's amazing. I think I've seen maybe 3 or 4 generations of scallion come from each stalk. So if you have a bunch of scallion, like just save a lot of it and then just use one at a time and then just start regrowing them, and you just have them for 2 months. It's amazing. Yeah, so that's the rest of the eggshells. on my windowsill, so I like sleep next to this just so I have a little bit more company. And then here's a little bit of me skateboarding. It's becoming a regular thing on Mondays that I'm posting it. Like, I go out for maybe 30 minutes and cut it all down to 5-6 minute videos, and it's really relaxing. Like, I don't know if that's a thing that exists, but like kind of like an ASMR of skateboarding. Like, I use this really twinkly music, and it's just very quiet and calm, and you see like the sky and trees, and it's really nice and not stressful. I haven't fallen, knock on wood, in a minute, so it's going really well, and I really like skateboarding, so that's been fun. Another experiment that I've had, or I'm researching, is what to do with tomato paste. And one of the things is that you can dehydrate it, and it looks like this. This is like maybe a 1/16 of an inch, like, thin. And it thins out into crackly edged sheets. And then the middle is more of like a fruit leather texture. And then this stuff can be like rehydrated in water at a later time. So this is easy to store. So it was a cool experiment. And then finally this week, I've been really experimenting with plating and thinking about the way that I present food and tell stories through food. And so there's like a few dishes on like my Instagram that I've been playing with, like this concept of remembering outside and thinking about outside hiking trips that I've been on. And so I've been imagining hikes in the past, but now this is this is an old one. I'm sorry, this is a wrong one. Well, anyway, the concept is that I'm imagining outside and places that I want to go to again. And it's really been like helping me cope with not going outside, really. So this is like oyster mushroom and sprouted rye berries, a cornmeal cake called funchi, roasted garlic, roasted butternut squash, urfa pepper, and like a whole calamansi fruit that kind of looks like fungus you would find in a forest, you know, that's like eating all the dead bark and stuff. But anyway, that's what I've been up to this week. I have some photos from people that have been texting me and sending them in and tagging me, all the stuff that they've been making this week. So Vance asked me, if you have a twice-baked potato and you heat it up one more time, is it a thrice-baked potato? And the answer is yes. You cook a potato 3 times, it's a thrice-baked potato. All right, that's Vance's potato and elote, which is great. He toasted the corn straight on the fire of his stove, which is cool. I only recommend that if you have tongs and don't have luscious arm hair. You know what I mean? You might lose your arm hair, so just be careful if you do that. This is Triss's pizza. Triss has been making pizza at home. I think those are mushrooms and onions and capers, which makes for a very, like, briny pizza flavor. I like that. Goes with the fat of the cheese. My friend Sky sent a sous-vide egg yolk that he put on top of his instant ramen. So we'll talk about sous-vide later on in the stream, but basically this is like a custard yolk that you can like touch it. It's not like falling apart or popping. You notice that it's like solid. Pretty cool. This is Martin's pasta with tomato and, is that cilantro? Yes, cilantro. Good combinations. I mean, it makes sense, right? Tomato and cilantro are great in salsa. Couldn't you apply that across other dishes like pasta? So, makes sense. JV sent this egg in a basket. Isn't it gorgeous? He's been sending me his egg in a basket every day. Or every other day. And if you have your phone in front of you, there's an Instagram account called Eggy Flips. And it's this guy who he plays like a really loud song, and he's like got the egg on the frying pan, and then he flips it at the climax of like a lyric. Like he just it's pretty fun. So Eggy Flips, you should follow them on Instagram. Joe asked me a question about how do you get like this like crunchy, like boily, cheesy top on your pasta bakes. And so he had been baking the pasta on the middle rack of the oven. And if you want this sort of like lovely, burny, melty parts on top, you turn the oven on to the broil position and then move the pasta to the top rack. So broiling is where the heat is coming from the top element, not from the bottom. So baking is the lower element, broiling is the top element. And so in baking things, sometimes you're going to have to switch position of the dish that you're making to get caramelization like this. So broiling for like 2 or 3 minutes until the cheese is like actively bubbling is a perfect time to pull it out. So bake as normal, like a casserole, covered with foil, and then finish broiling like 2 or 3 minutes, and then you'll get a crust like this. And so he has been doing this all week for all of his pasta bakes, which is great. Glad I could teach you that. This is Jeff and Erica's healthy soba bowl. They got mushrooms and cabbage and cucumber. This looks really fresh and healthy. Opposite of everything I've been eating this week. Good for you guys. This is Dylan's bison steak with broccoli, tomato, and buttered toast. This looks great. He lives by Wegmans, and so he's able to get bison steaks. So I haven't been able to find bison steaks in my local market. And finally, we've got my friend Carly has been loving all the egg content, and so she decided to start making bacon egg sandwiches for dinner. So look at that lovely butter sear on her toast. And there was this food truck that used to park in Dumbo called Morris Grilled Cheese, and they would do flaky Maldon salt just like this on their sandwiches. And so that reminds me of a time where I used to get like those grilled cheese sandwiches from Morris. Like, oh, it's so good. Cool. Well, thank you everybody for submitting dishes. I feel like that was like the most dishes that I've had to show off. So I love showing off the food that you're cooking. You can show me food fails. We can like talk through it. Don't be embarrassed. You know, that's why I'm here. So yeah, just tag me on Instagram, on Twitter, text me, email me. My email is justramages@gmail.com. So yeah, let's talk about the food you're making. And I know you're going to get bored because I've been getting bored myself and trying to find inspiration from all of you. So it's been really good. You know, I haven't, gotten stuck on any dishes. So thank you for sending in your dishes. So let us get to the task at hand. So eggs are such a wide subject. I asked my followers on Instagram to ask very specific questions about eggs so that we could have a starting point. And I think we're going to revisit eggs maybe once a month, and then it'll become like a series because it's something that I'm trying to research myself. Like I want to write a book about it eventually, and I just want to understand as much as I can about Mother Egg. Gotta be careful, I don't want to break the thing. Let's change up the music. Okay. Oh, yeah. Alright. Going to a reggae-ish tone. Let's talk about all these egg questions. So the first question came from Omar. No, not Omar. Omar asking for a friend. Can you get sick from eating an egg that has cracks in the shell? This is a great question. So, have you ever seen inside of a chicken coop? Like, I don't know how many of you have seen inside of a chicken coop. There is poop everywhere. Like, everywhere. Like, chickens are kind of dumb, and they poo on everything. Sure, your commercial eggs have been washed, but there is a slight chance some chicken poo may have made it onto the shell. Shells are super porous, so, you know, I don't want you to go and, like, wash your eggs, but what I'm saying is if you notice a cracked egg that has already had the broken membrane, you don't know, like, how long they've been there and what bacteria has gotten inside. And the most common bacteria on eggs is salmonella, and that is from chicken poo. So if you see broken eggs at the store, don't buy them. You know, if you are allowed to open the package without breaking it, like, check for cracked eggs, check the top and the bottom. But say that you had perfectly good eggs at the store, but you've managed to crack one on the way home. That's also totally fine. As long as you crack the egg into a plastic container and seal that up, use that within 2 days, and you should be fine. So if you leave the egg cracked in the carton, it can absorb smells from the fridge and promote airflow into the eggs, which can promote bacteria growth. So even though it's being refrigerated, a hole in an egg can still be pretty dangerous. So besides nausea and the gross, like, stomach stuff, you also might get cramps, a headache, and a fever from salmonella food poisoning. So that can happen within 6 hours of eating it, or up to even 4 days later. So it might hit you, like, randomly. It might seem like it's out of nowhere, but if you think back, like, maybe I shouldn't have eaten that egg, it was probably the egg. So just be careful when you're selecting your eggs, and you'll be fine. Or, Omar, I hope you or your friend is doing okay. So that was about eating eggs that have cracks in the shell. So if you want to prep ahead eggs, the same sort of rule applies. You shouldn't pre-crack your eggs unless you know you're going to eat them within 2 days. Because after that, you've exposed all that wet stuff to the air in your fridge. It can break down really easily. So as soon as you expose egg white and egg yolk to air, they're going to start, like, breaking down a little bit. And when egg white breaks down, that increases water activity. So egg whites can get super, super watery, and when if you cracked like 4 eggs into a container and then put it in the fridge, it's going to start separating the egg white and the egg yolk, and then there's going to be like a water layer, and that water layer is a little dangerous. You know, that's where bacteria wants to hang out. And so if you're going to pre-prep an omelet or glaze for a casserole or something like that, like, make sure you're using it all up within 2 days. Yeah. So, next question. So, I forgot that I had these. Steven asked, do you have any tricks for making perfect soft-boiled eggs consistently? Now, there's no such thing really as having the same egg twice. Like, there are a lot of factors that go into precision in cooking. So you have to, like, think about all of those factors to keep it the same. Like chefs try to, like, when we develop recipes, we're like, ooh, I came up with a really cool thing. And when we do it once, like, our next challenge is to replicate it again. Like, can I get that same dish again? And if I change, like, certain things about it, like the pan that I'm using, the type of egg that I'm using, like, you know, so if you're gonna go through a battery of testing, like, make sure you have the same carton of eggs, make sure you use the same pan, make sure you use the same spatula, and use the same kind of heat every time you do it. So soft boiling eggs is an art. Like, It is wonderful. It is something that I've practiced, and I can't tell you exactly how long it takes to soft boil an egg because your stove is different from mine. So I can't prescribe an exact time for you. But essentially, what you need is a pot, a timer, water to put in the pot, and a bowl of ice water. So the pot is really important. You want to have at least 2 eggs height. So in any pot, when you're cooking eggs, you want to do a single layer of eggs at the bottom, so you don't really cook like a whole dozen because they'll start piling up on each other and they won't be able to cook evenly. And also, you need depth. You want the egg to be covered by another egg's worth of water. Why is that? It's so that the eggs will stay submerged in the water. So if you try to boil eggs in a shallow pan and the water is just above the eggs, when it starts to boil, it's going to boil off, and then you're going to have less water, and it won't cook this very top of the egg. So you want a pot that has sides, and you need to fill it with enough water so that the eggs can stay submerged. You need a timer. I'll talk about that in a minute, but you need a timer. You can use your phone. You can use your smart device that talks to you. And you need a bowl of ice water. So the ice water is super important for shocking, which is stopping the cooking process. So when you're trying to be exact with eggs, you need to be able to hit the stop button on cooking, and ice water is the way to do it. So what you do is you bring your water to a boil in your pot. Don't start in cold water. Don't put the eggs in the cold water because you don't know the temperature unless you are tracking all of this. It seems like a lot of work to me. But basically, bring the water to a boil. And then once it's boiling, lower the eggs in a single layer into the water. I would start with 4 eggs. Start your timer then. I would start with 5 minutes of boiling and then remove them with a slotted spoon, shock them in the ice water, and let them sit there for 5 minutes. If you don't like that and you think that's too runny, increase it to 6 minutes. And 7, if that's not the right consistency that you want. But Bon Appetit recommends 6 minutes and 30 seconds for their jammy yolk. Scratch Bread recommended 5 minutes and 30 seconds. 7 minutes is great if you want to crack the egg. Otherwise, sometimes soft-boiled eggs aren't very peelable, when they're very delicate. So the English way is to cut the top off and put it in an egg cup, and then dip bread into it. So that's one way of eating it. Another way is trying to peel it under cold running water, but just be careful, it's super delicate. Older eggs, like a week old, are typically easier to peel because they've evaporated some of that water in the shell that I was talking about, and they leave a little bit of an air pocket, at the top. So if the egg had been boiling upright like this, all that air would be at the top, and then you'd be able to just stick your thumb in and be like, oh, yeah. So I have, a little exercise to show you how do you know if an egg is great for boiling? It's a really, really easy test. All you need is a glass of water, and an egg. Okay. So, glass of water, egg. You stick the egg into the water, and it's gonna fall to the bottom if it's fresh. If it's super fresh, it's gonna lay on its side. That's great. Fresh is great, but fresh eggs don't peel as well. If it is a week old, the egg will turn vertically. Its point will point upwards because there's an air pocket in the top. So week-old eggs are great for peeling, hard-boiled and soft-boiled. So if you put the egg in the water and it stands up like that, that's great for peeling. If the egg starts to float, however, that means your egg is super hella old, dude. Don't eat it. That means there is so much air in the shell that it has gone buoyant. And so when there's so much air in the shell and there's not a lot of the water content left in the egg, stuff can grow in there, man. Like, it's not great. They start respirating and creating gases, and that's where you get, you know, the Charlotte's Web rotten egg, like, smell. Like, ammonia, NH4. So that is a trick to know if your eggs are great for peeling or how fresh they are. Helpful, right? I hope that was helpful. But anyway, other ways of cooking soft-boiled eggs. Alton Brown recommends steaming them. He does maybe 12 minutes for hard boiling, so I would go like 8 or 9 minutes in steaming. The advantage of steaming is that it's not direct heat. You're not going to overcook the yolk and get that like that sulfurous ring, like that gray ring around the yolk. Generally, you can prevent the green ring by shocking your eggs after they're cooking, because if you don't shock eggs and they're still really, really hot, they're going to continue to cook in the shell. Like, all that heat is retained, and so you need to use the ice water to shock it. There is also Sous-Vide, which I mentioned earlier. That's what Sky used on his ramen. And so Sous-Vide is just the short description of what it is. It's a French technique. It's called under vacuum, or it translates to under vacuum. You basically vacuum seal foods and cook them in a water bath at a very, very specific temperature. This is the way that restaurants are able to do like high-end steaks at the same temperature all the time. Eggs are perfect for sous vide because you don't have to vacuum seal the egg in a plastic bag. It already comes in its own like vacuum sealed shell. So you can sous vide things. I do it for an hour. And Dave Arnold, who is a great food science chef, he owns the bar, what's it called? Existing Conditions. And he has this chart on his website about all the different temperatures you can use for sous vide eggs. And my favorite falls between 62 and 63 Celsius here. I don't know if you can zoom in here, but that is about 144 degrees Fahrenheit. So for an hour, you sous vide the eggs, and then you shock them in ice water, and then you can store them for, a couple days in the shell, and then crack them open and have these wonderful custard eggs for breakfast every day. My friend Steve, who's the chef at the Four Seasons in Hollywood, he does sous vide eggs at the very, very low end of this chart. So he does a 60-degree egg and stores those, and then poaches them. So it's already fully cooked technically, but to get the texture that he wants, he further poaches it a la minute when he's about to serve it. So those are some ways that people practice consistency in their egg cooking, and I love it. I love talking about it. So that's a really wonderful chart. If you go to Dave Arnold's website, Cooking Issues, he also has a Heritage Radio podcast / radio show about these sorts of food science-y questions. He was also he taught at the French Culinary when I was there, so that's kind of where I knew his name. I was like, oh my gosh, he's so cool. But yeah, this is super, super helpful. Okay, so far, does anyone have any comments about eggs so far? Okay, let's switch the music again. Oh yeah, that's nice. Okay, Renato asked, Balut versus Penoy, question mark. So I actually didn't know the other half of this question. So, who knows what balut is, and have you had it? Whoa. I have to admit to you now that I haven't had either of these dishes, and I'm a bad Filipino. But there's a lot of interesting stuff about it. So, balut is a fertilized duck egg in the shell. It's boiled or steamed, and the animal's bones are soft enough to bite through. And I know that sounds scary right now, but before you say ew, it's a common street food in the Philippines. When I was in Boracay, which is like a beach town, the vendors would come out and sell them after the bars closed. It like makes sense because protein and vinegar helps like a hangover. Like, the appeal of this dish is that it's full of protein, and upon boiling, it's basically making its own duck broth in the egg. So it's like a super savory situation in the shell. So you have like this whole meal just from like a single egg. And so that is balut. Balut is like, you can see like the bird. Like, it hasn't grown any feathers. You know, it's still in the shell. The other dish that he was telling, you know, in the question is Penoy, Penoy. It's unfertilized duck egg. So the first one, balut, is fertilized, and so it's become like a creature. So unfertilized means that there is no yolk formation. And I kind of think I would probably prefer this one because there are two types of it. There's a soupy version and a dry version. The masabaw version is the soupy version. It's produced by incubating the eggs and putting them in hay within 12 days of being laid. And then when you incubate the egg for more than 12 days, like under warm sand, under hay, it becomes tuyo, which is as if you mix the egg white and the egg yolk inside of the egg and then boiled it. So I think I would probably like that the best. When they're served, they're eaten warm with vinegar or salt. Yeah. So I've never tried it. It's like a scary thing that my dad tells boyfriends, like, you gonna have balut with us today? Like, he tries to scare people with it, but honestly, like, I've never even had it, so I'm willing to try it, you know, the next opportunity that I get. But I mean, the masabaw version, like the soupy one, sounds really good over rice. I mean, it looks like crab fat, so it's not that scary to me. Like, I think I'm trying to understand it, like, it has like a built-in duck broth. That sounds delicious. And I don't know if they still do this, but before quarantine, there were these two Filipino restaurants that were related called Jeepney and Maharlika, and they held a balut eating contest. And I think the winner ate like 40 of them in 5 minutes. It's like, yo. I do have a photo of it, and I'm warning you now, if you don't like it, you can close the stream for a second, and I'm just gonna show it for just a couple seconds. So this is the inside of a balut. This is the fertilized duck egg. You can see inside that there's some yolk, and there's the baby. I'm sorry. But this is a thing people eat in the Philippines. It's sort of like a national dish, like lumpia or pancit. But yeah, this is what it looks like, and I guess I have to eat one. I'm sorry it's looking at you. I took it off the screen. Alright. But yeah, that's the difference between the two, like the fertilized and the unfertilized egg, and, yeah, I learned something there about the Penoy. It's interesting. Anyway, next question. Palate cleanser for you. I'm sorry if that scared you, but that is a thing people eat in the world. Anthony asked, how do you cook a decent over medium egg? I can't flip it without making a mess. Oh yes, I've done this many times. I've definitely had spillage on the flip. And there are a few things that you can pay attention to help you in this. There's no, like I said earlier, there's no prescriptive time that works because your heat and pans are going to be different from my heat and pans. But firstly, you start with a pan on medium heat, like a saucepan, a frying pan, cast iron pan. You throw your tablespoon of butter or high temperature oil. So typically you don't use olive oil because that burns off very quickly. It has a very low smoke point, so olive oil will be gone before you're able to cook cook the egg. So use vegetable oil or coconut oil or ghee or butter. So you crack the egg, always on a flat surface. Don't crack eggs on the edges of bowls. I know you've seen that in so many videos or like cooking shows, but when you crack things on an edge like this, the shell goes into the egg white. So if you crack it on a flat surface, it's just gonna it's only gonna hit the flat side, so it's not gonna break like inward. So break your eggs on a flat surface, crack it into the hot pan, and watch the egg white. You'll notice as it cooks that it becomes opaque. And so you'll want to tilt the pan to check if the white is going to run off. I kind of don't mind like having little tendrils of egg white because those get really crispy for me. But as soon as that whole egg white is opaque, that's when I flip. The key for over medium is waiting long enough so that the yolk is sealed up enough at the bottom to move it. So there have been many times where I've tried to remove the egg from the pan and broken the egg yolk. So be a little patient. A lot of people say to let it rest for 30 seconds to a minute on that side. But now that you can't see the egg white, you can still touch the butt side of the egg yolk, like the part of the egg yolk that's already cooked. It's not going to be like too hot. So if it feels like water in a Ziploc bag, then the yolk is not set. You'll feel over the next minute or two that the yolk is going to firm up. And you want to remove the egg just before it gets to the texture you want. So why do I say that? Because even when you remove it from the heat, it's going to continue cooking. So when you think you've reached medium, you're already too late and the yolk will set hard. Some people, to get over this step, is that as soon as they flip, they turn off the heat. Because that ensures that you won't overcook the yolk if you're about to serve it. And also leaving it there in the pan for like that 30 seconds to a minute is going to let the egg yolk seal on the bottom so that you don't rip it when you move it. So, yes, Anthony, thank you for asking that question. That pretty much applies to over easy eggs, but over medium, you're just waiting a little bit longer to take it off the heat. Hi, Bijan! We're talking about eggs today. Thanks for coming in. Now that Bijan's here, I'm going to add another egg to myself here. Oh, look, I got another egg. Sounding all right to you guys out there? So I just answered I had a long-winded answer for how to make consistent over medium eggs. Oh, you just made fried rice with some eggs in it. That is a great thing to make. Yes. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Alright. Does anyone else have any over medium egg questions? Have you ever ordered an over medium egg? Like, what is your egg order at a restaurant? Like, I think mine for a long time throughout college was... Okay, no, I'll back up. Hey, everybody in the chat, tell me how you like your eggs. I'm going to talk about how I like my eggs. So when I was little, I thought egg yolks were gross, and so all my eggs were scrambled or like omelets whenever I went to IHOP or Denny's. And then in college, I think due to peer pressure and like not knowing anything else about how you cook eggs, I always ordered over easy. All right. You like poached. All right. You like over medium. I think nowadays I like them. There's this French way called en cocotte, which is baked. It's basically baked with heavy cream. And last week's stream, I showed you Triss's egg that he's been baking in heavy cream. Ina Garten has like this amazing baked egg recipe. It's got like heavy cream, butter, and like fresh eggs, and you bake it like 350 degrees for like 15 minutes, and then it's so good. Robert, you're here. Hello. Deviled eggs, fried over medium or medium to hard boiled. Yes. Jason says, poached egg on an English muffin. Hell yeah. Salt and pepper, easy and delicious. That leads me into another question someone had. speaking about English muffins, like I made English muffins last week, and it was the best idea. Yeah, Wes does over easy, over medium at restaurants, but your favorite shakshuka, yeah, oh my gosh, how many of you have eaten shakshuka? That is eggs that are baked in tomato sauce. In Patagonia, they call that like fiery eggs or devil's eggs, not to be confused with deviled eggs, but like deviling in French cooking, it usually means like spice or pepper. It's just so pathetic. Like in French cooking, they think paprika is too spicy. Did you know that like measurement of cayenne pepper is le point, like the point of a knife, which is hilarious. I can handle way more spice than that, but that is how sensitive the French palate is. Ooh, Lucius has had a tempura fried egg over rice. Yo, I want that. I want that right now. Dude, the last runny tempura egg that I had was at Mitsuwa in New Jersey. Like, did you know there's like a bus that can take you to the Japanese marketplace in New Jersey? It's like 10 minutes away from Penn Station. But hell yeah, dude. That sounds great. But anyway, going back to the question, I've been making English muffins, and so naturally, I started making egg McMuffins at home. And so Iris was like, how did you make your McMuffin egg? And so I made a mistake the first time I was cooking it. And I learned this from when I watched, at McDonald's when I was a little kid, watching them make the breakfast sandwiches. They have ring molds. It's basically a non-stick cookie cutter that you put on the grill. So if you can get it, there are non-stick cookie cutters that you can cook with. So you put it on the pan, you put a little butter. You can, if you don't have a non-stick like I do, the egg white is going to stick to the sides of the cookie cutter. That was so messy and so precarious because the cookie cutter is hot. And so I was an idiot and like reached for it. I still make these really stupid mistakes when I cook. But don't forget to grease your cookie cutter when you're frying an egg inside of it. But yeah, grease cookie cutter, fry the egg inside of the mold, and you'll get like this perfectly round, like egg McMuffin egg. And you can either cook it with the yolk still intact, so you can have a little bit of a squishy egg yolk in the sandwich, or you can, using a chopstick, when you crack the egg in, just break it and swirl it just a little bit. And then you can cook that as normal. You don't really have to flip it, just make sure that the top, as it's cooking, becomes opaque. So I recommend never eating egg whites that are not opaque. Egg yolk is fine when it's uncooked, but egg white, I just sort of get a little weird about it because it has potential for a lot more bacteria because of its water content. So, awesome. Yeah, I think you had it at Mitsuwa too. Like, that food court is incredible. But that's how you make a McMuffin egg. If you don't have a cookie cutter at home right now, a bell pepper or an onion works. So you can just cut rings crosswise on a bell pepper and then crack an egg into that in a frying pan, and it will just cook to the shape of the bell pepper, which is kind of like a flower. And then if you do crosswise onion slices in a circle, you can also fry eggs in that and then have that directly in a sandwich. So it's wonderful. Cool. I still have a lot of other egg questions that we'll save for another time, but it's 6 o'clock. I want to jump to doing the mental exercises like Chopped. So actually, in about 5, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, I'm going to open open unborn baby can of black beans that are hiding inside of a garbanzo bean can. So if you all could tweet and tag me at Randwiches saying that I'm going to open the can soon, that would help, and then people are going to watch us open the can. Actually, I will tweet it right now. The murder is gonna happen soon, okay? Thank you, Bijan. Gonna open the unborn bean can in about 5 to 7 minutes. Okay. Bean can. Tweet. Okay. I'm not gonna do the murder now, okay? Leave me alone. We're gonna do some mental exercises right now. So, this is like a new segment that we're doing on my stream where, in the chat, just start naming some ingredients and then, or dishes, so like enchiladas or nachos or like a soup or a type of sandwich, and we're gonna try to take them apart and mash them up. So, start naming some ingredients, say, you know, a dish that you want to eat, and then we'll see how we can incorporate them. Sorry, there's a dog barking in the hallway. Let's change the music for now. This is our ramps, tortillas, oxtail. Matt mentioned oxtail, it's on my mind. All right. Hey, Steven, I answered your question earlier. All right, let's start with... Well, let's put these all together then. Oxtail, tortillas, and ramps. So oxtail takes forever to cook, but they give off this great broth. It's really bony, so probably instant pot that for like 15 minutes. Use the broth and make like a ramp gravy for that. We could do oxtail enchiladas if we add some cheese. Yeah, oxtail needs to be cooked for a long time. And after it's been cooked for a long time, it doesn't really have a lot of meat, so you have to cook a lot of oxtail. And so it's really good shredded up, and it breaks up like ossobuco. That's like a popular oxtail dish. But a Filipino dish is kare-kare, which I mentioned earlier. That's typically made with oxtail. It's a peanut curry with annatto seeds, shrimp paste, green beans, tomato, onion. It's delicious. Tortillas. So we can have them as tacos. We can have them as burritos. We can have them as enchiladas. We can make flautas. We can do oxtail flautas with like caramelized ramps. Y'all! I placed an order for my first ramps this season, and like it fell through, so I got really jealous of everybody making ramp stuff this week. But usually when I get ramps, because they're only in short season, I try to preserve them as much as possible. Like I think I hit 5 different ways to preserve ramps last year. So I made like ramp salt with the greens. I pickled the bulbs. I took the roots and pulverized those and made like a ramp oil. What else? I did these like caramelized ramp petals. There's a dish, I think on Bon Appetit for charred shallot petals, where you you cut a shallot in half and then you cook it on the same side for like forever, and so it chars that front face. But then you're able to peel back when it's done all the layers that have just a charred part on the edge, and the rest of it's just perfectly soft and caramelized. And so I did that with ramps, which takes significantly less time. It's kind of like working with scallions, which are so much smaller in surface area. But yeah, ramp petals is another thing you can do. Ramp pesto, ramp jam. Like you can do onion jam, you can do ramp jam. What else? Do we have another ingredient we want to add to this mix? I think oxtail flautas just sounds so good right now. We can also do tostadas. We can fry the tortillas and put the oxtail on top. We could do tlayuda. Do you know what a tlayuda is? It's a Oaxacan kind of Mexican pizza. So you do tortilla, black bean paste, and then like top it like a pizza, and then fold the thing and eat it like a taco. It's amazing. What else? We need more ingredients, friends. I'm glad you're here. I feel like this is the most viewers I've had at once, so thank you all for being here. I'm glad it like sounds good with this new microphone too. Ooh, okay, butternut squash ready to cook. You know my favorite way to cook butternut squash is not roasting it, but poaching it in broth. Oh, you've been eating a lot of cheese while quarantined. Oh my gosh. If we had roasted butternut squash, like sliced super, super thin, dressed it with that honey vinaigrette, roast it so it becomes like chip-like, we can eat it with that manchego. Oh my goodness, that sounds so good. Or we could make a frico. Do you know what a frico is? So frico is where you shred cheese and bake it into a chip. So it's really easy if you have like a non-stick pan. You just take grated cheese and make little piles on a baking sheet, and then sprinkle a little cayenne pepper or like a little salt, and then bake that and it becomes a chip. And we could do like cheese frico nachos. So the chips are the cheese and the topping is something else. You had an idea for that in junior high. Amazing. I know, it's not 420 anymore, but I'm still thinking like it is. Your 12-year-old self feels so validated. I'm so glad. You're not wrong. Your crazy food idea actually works. Yeah. That's really funny. Let's see. Honey vinaigrette and ramp sound really good together. Oxtail and manchego also sounds really good together because oxtail is super fatty and manchego is like got a lot of sheep oil, like sheep fat, and all of these ingredients are so delicious together. You can just put them in a bowl and eat it. Okay, let's see. Is it time for a murder? So it's not a murder because it's an unborn bean child, okay, Bijan? Okay, so the context of this is, I love this mental exercise, so thank you for doing this with me. We'll do it again the next stream. I really like doing it. It's really fun. Because then I start getting more ideas about what I'm going to have for dinner tonight. So, haha. That was Mike's idea, by the way, so thank you, Mike, for giving me that idea to do like a chopped mental exercise segment. So now we're going to open Unborn Child of Beans. And so the context of this is I wrote a blog on Bijan's blog. It's called Indoor Voices. So what's the URL? I think it's indoor... Okay, so it's indoor-voices.blogspot.com. So Bijan, Kevin, and Kyle started this blog, and I had to log back into my Blogger account. Like, I think the last time I logged into my Blogger account, it was 2007. And so my profile there was like still very 2007, and so I changed it. So we're using blogger.com to write these posts about quarantine, and I shared a story about getting a case of beans when I only ordered one can. So like when I'm catering, I always get one of these cans for catering, you know, a party of 50 people. So like this makes enough hummus for 50 people. So I was about ready to cater a party, and I ordered this from Restaurant Depot, which is where I shop for a lot of like canned and dry goods for catering. And the woman that was delivering it was lugging a case up the stairs, and I was like, what are you doing? Did you charge me for a whole case? And I was like fretting about it, and she was like, no, the whole case rang up as one. And I was like, cool, I guess I just have a lot of garbanzo beans. And later on that day, Emily, who some of you know, opened the can, and she was about to start making the hummus, and she was like, these are not garbanzo beans. Like, despite the label and despite the case and all of the markings and the barcodes, it was black beans inside. So I was stuck with this whole case of black beans. And we checked another can, and yes, indeed, 2 cans we've opened. We were stuck with black beans for like 2 weeks. It was hilarious. I was like, what am I going to do with this? I don't have room in my fridge for this right now. So I'd been writing about my journey with these black beans, and I forgot to bring over the rest of the family. Hold on. 1 second. Just gotta get Bonzo and Barbara. And so, during quarantine, I've been trying to, stay sane and create more friends. This is Barbara. And this is Bonzo, the original. And so on Twitter, I put up a poll to who was I going to open on the stream today, and it was really close. Like, a percentage of people wanted to open Barbara. How dare you? So today we're gonna open the unborn can of beans. You guys are cruel. Majority of people voted to open this can of beans. So what this means is that I'm going to eat a lot of black beans this week. So I wiped the top of my can. I don't know if you know about this. Like, I know a lot of you are new to home cooking because you've been forced to cook at home, but when you open anything in a can, like, make sure you wipe the top. Because you don't know how it's been stacked. You don't know if it was stacked on the floor. Just always wipe the top of your cans. So much bean. Hi, Shannon! Thanks for joining. Oh my gosh. Also, your can opener is an important tool. Like, I love this one. It's so smooth, and it's meant for large cans like this. Your little can opener might not be able to handle, like, this, this buddy. Oh, okay. So, you can't see this. Hold on. Maybe. Can you see it now? Do I need to elevate the can a little bit more? I know. Wipe everything. I know. Alright, so we're gonna open unborn can of beans, everyone. I hope you tweet this or screenshot it. Alright. Boy, I'm gonna make so many Did you hear that? These beans have been in here for a long time. Okay. Oh, it's spinning on its own. This is amazing. Oh my. So get ready for lots of bean content, everyone. You can follow along on Indoor Voices, so indoor-voices.blogspot.com, and I'm going to be updating my bean diaries with everything that I make from this can. So there's a lot of things to consider, which is storage. I finally have enough room in my fridge to store this can. Oh my god, I'm hitting my knuckle. Okay, we're almost at the end here. I don't want to go all the way because I want to be able to lift it out. Bean murder! Alright. Oh, I gotta get a spoon. Okay. I'll explain in a second. Okay. So we've opened up the brain of our unborn bean child. And the first indicator, that told Emily and me that this wasn't garbanzo beans is the aquafaba. It's dark purple in here. Garbanzo bean aquafaba, like the bean water that it's been soaking in, is clear. And these are black beans, everyone. I'm gonna eat so many black beans. So I could eat the black beans as is. They're already fully cooked. So I can throw them on rice. I can mix them into things. I can throw them into soup. I can also freeze half of it. I can blend it into a bean dip with cream cheese. I can make black bean soup. I also have a dehydrator, so I can dehydrate the beans. A lot of trail and hiking enthusiasts say that they're going to crack while they're dehydrating because losing so much water, like the beans have so much water soaked into their fibers that water is just such an essential part of the physical structure that when you try to draw it out, it's going to just break the insides apart. And so these beans are going to burst when they dehydrate, but the advantage there is that burst dried beans hydrate much faster than beans that need to be soaked overnight. So that's an advantage. So I'm going to figure out all the different ways that I can cook these beans. If you have any suggestions, I will happily take them. And then also, because it's Earth Day and that we don't want to waste anything, this lovely like bean stuff, like this aquafaba, this bean water, is an excellent egg white substitute. It can bake, it can whip, I can fry it. So I can do a lot of baking with it. And I can say for at least garbanzo beans, the bean water doesn't give off any beany taste. Maybe these black beans might be a little bit more potent because I can see that it's like dark and viscous. Like I think there's a lot more flavor material in this aquafaba, but I'm excited to figure it out. Like, so if you know any aquafaba recipes that I can do with black beans, I'll tackle it. So yeah, this is the unborn. You chose to kill an unborn bean child. What am I thinking for my first bean dinner? I think I'm just gonna go super simple. I'm just gonna do like some hot sauce and rice, a little cumin. I think I'm gonna start simple because I have some, like the key to my quarantine survival has been condiments. Like I've been making a lot of basic stuff like rice and beans and soups and noodles, but the key to like really shaking it up all the time is having tons of chili oil and pestos and kimchis, and so I've been really mixing it up with the condiments. Yeah. So this is unborn bean child that you all chose to kill instead of Garbra and Bonzo, who are much older. I'm just kidding. I'm not some pro-bean life hack. Alright, we're gonna put this wet spoon. Alright, put it over here. Alright, let's finish up now, friend. Oh boy, I don't want to spill bean everywhere. 1 second. Alright, change up the music a little bit. Okay, so that was bean murder. If you check out Indoor Voices, I have like entries about all of my bean diaries so far, and then I have a satire piece called Window Botanic Garden. You should just read it. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it might have an audio accompaniment now that I got this new microphone. So, that's kind of it for today. Thank you all for watching. I'm really happy to have you here. I'll be back next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. In between that, I'm auto-hosting a lot of people on this stream, so whenever I'm offline, you'll be able to watch other people who are online that I support. So like Bijan's channel will be on here when he goes on at 9 pretty much every night. Baby Castles, Wonderville, The Tank, all these venues that I support are also streaming shows pretty much every day this week. So if you don't have anything to watch, just come back to my channel. You'll see somebody is doing something at least. And then about on Sundays and whenever it's nice outside, I'm going to stream my back patio and share the bird sounds and the sounds of the BQE with you. So if you have any ingredients or questions that you want me to cover in the next stream, we're going to come back to eggs next month, but and I have some questions already lined up for that. But if you want to learn more about an ingredient or a recipe next week, you can submit your ideas now to me in the chat, or you can tweet me at Randwiches, which is this username. But next Wednesday, we're going to tackle lye, L-Y-E, like why do people use lye in cooking? Wes asked that question. Someone else asked a question about how to make fruit leather. There are ways to do it without a dehydrator, so we'll talk about that next week. Emily asked about vermicelli noodles, and I have so many things to say about that. So we can cover a couple more ingredients or recipes next week, and then we'll do another mental chopped exercise. This has been really fun, and I like you so much for being here. So make sure you're subscribed here on Twitch. If you have an Amazon Prime account, you can gift a subscription to your favorite creators, and I hope that's me. Yeah. So if you have any more cooking questions, you know where to hit me up online. Ask me anything. I'm here to help you. And I hope you have a good rest of your evening. I like you, and good night, everyone.